Today, Greg will be sharing the message of the magic of believing in you. Let's welcome Greg Wood.
Let me take you back to where it all started for me. I was 12 years old in my parents' basement. I had just got my first magic kit. There was about 14 or 15 people sitting around on folding chairs eating triangle sandwiches. I stood in front of them and I showed them 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 playing cards. I then took one of those cards and I threw it away. I snapped my fingers. I still had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 playing cards. The crowd was so impressed, they punched the air and yelled, "Amazing!" Let me take you back to where it all started for me. I was 6 years old in my parents' basement. There was 40 or 50 people sitting around on folding chairs eating triangle sandwiches. I showed them 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 playing cards. I then threw away not just one, but 2 of those cards. I snapped my fingers and I still had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 playing cards. The crowd was so impressed they punched the air and yelled. Okay, that was almost everybody. Let me take you back to where it all started. I was 2 years old in my parents' basement. There was 400 or 500 people sitting around on triangle sandwiches eating folding chairs. It was a madhouse. I showed them 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 playing cards. I then threw away 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 playing cards. I snapped my fingers. I still had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 playing cards. They were so impressed they punched the air and yelled. But when they realized the cards had never existed in the first place, they leapt to their feet for us standing. Oh, maybe I had to be there. When that happened, I knew what I wanted to do for the rest of my life. I went to my mom and said, "Mom, when I grow up, I want to be a magician." She said, "I'm sorry, son, you'll have to decide. You can't do both." So I became a magician. I met my goals, but so many people do not. Why is that? Well, the greatest separator between those of us who achieve our goals and those who do not is how we perceive ourselves. You see, we don't get out of life what we want. That's called a dream. And the reason people believe that dreams don't come true is because what we do get out of life is directly proportional to the value judgments we make about ourselves. Let me demonstrate this with a $10 bill. What's that worth? Not many of you are sure. Good. What's that worth? Thank you. You could buy $10 worth of goods with it. But suppose I were to do this and give it a lower value. Make it worth less than $10, maybe make it worth, about $5. Then you could... You can only get $5 for it now. You may have $10 dreams for it. We can have $10 dreams for it, but we're not going to get that because it's only worth $5. We have given it a lower value, and the world is not going to increase that for us. It's the same with our self-esteem, the value judgments we make about ourselves. See, if we have a 10 dream, but only a 5 self-esteem, we're never going to be able to achieve the 10 dream because our self-esteem will stop us. We'll only perform at the level of a 5 or lower. You can't buy $10 worth of groceries with a $5 bill. You can't win a 10K race if you only run 5K. And you can't reach a 10 dream with a 5 self-esteem. But the good news is, you don't have to stay at a 5 self-esteem. There are things that we can do. There are actions that we can take. And we can raise our self-esteem. And once we've raised that self-esteem back up to a 10, then we can shoot for our 10 dream. The greatest limitations that we encounter when attempting to achieve our dreams are usually those we put on ourselves. Have you ever seen an invisible fence? I guess that's a stupid question. If you'd seen it, it wouldn't be invisible. But they really do exist. They're a real thing. We bought one to protect our dog. You bury a wire in the ground around your yard, and you run a small current through it. The dog wears a collar that reacts to that wire. As he gets closer, there's a little noise. And he gets closer, there's a buzz. And as he approaches the edge of the yard, it gives him a pretty good shock. It's the fear of that shock that keeps the dog in the yard and therefore out of traffic. Well, I've experienced almost exactly the same thing in my own life. As I've moved towards a goal, I got to the very edge of my comfort zone and I stopped. I didn't believe in myself enough. It was a self-limiting belief. For example, in my early 20s, I was supposed to open as a stand-up comic for a pair of Elvis impersonators as we toured the East Coast of the United States. I had everything written. The tour was prepared, but as it got closer and closer to the time to go, and I got to the edge of my comfort zone, I stopped. Because failure was a real option. What if I wasn't funny enough? What if I bombed? What if I fell on my face? That self-limiting belief held me there, and I never moved forward. Another dream not followed through on. Have you ever done that? Got to the edge of your comfort zone and stopped? That's a self-limiting belief. By the way, we tried that collar on our dog, and it didn't work. He would just grit his teeth and push right on through. Because his desire to be outside the yard was greater than his fear of the shock. He wouldn't come back, though. I remember him running out of the yard and thinking, what a stupid animal. But as I look back on it years later, I realized I could have learned a really powerful lesson from that dog. There's all kinds of ways we could raise our self-esteem. There's a number of things we can do. A topic like this would fill an entire day. And it does in my full-day workshop. But I'd like to share with you right now what I believe to be the simplest and the most effective way to raise our self-esteem. Do something for someone else. Do something for someone else. Making a difference in someone else's life, even a little one, raises our self-esteem. You see, it's hard to feel bad about ourselves when we're doing something nice for somebody else. In addition, when we're adding value to somebody else, we're actually also adding value to ourselves. Dr. Donald Clifton, PhD, former CEO of the Gallup organization and author of the book, How Full Is Your Bucket?, did a study where he and his team interviewed over 1 million people. And they discovered that every interaction that we have with another human being either adds to or subtracts from our lives. It doesn't matter if it's a meal, ordering a meal at a fast food restaurant, or sitting down with a long-lost friend. It adds to or subtracts from our life. Dr. Clifton was the first one to use the terms the bucket and the dipper. To explain what those are, I'd like to tell you a story. A story of a young boy who woke up one morning feeling pretty good about life. He could easily see all of the beauty in life. You could say that his bucket was full. You see, each one of us has an invisible bucket. I painted mine red so you could see it. Well, this boy's bucket was obviously full. You see, when your bucket is full, you feel really good about life. But when our bucket is empty, we don't feel so good. Well, this boy's bucket was absolutely full to overflowing. So he headed out the door to go to school, got dressed, he headed out the door to go to school. And just as he walked outside the door, a young boy went riding by on a bike and yelled, "Hey, goofy looking, you're looking stupid today." Well, that takes away some of that beauty that he can see in life. You see, each one of us also has an invisible dipper. I painted mine red so you could see it. But that dipper can be used to add to people's lives or to try to take away from people. The boy on the bicycle certainly used his to take away. Our young man heads off to school, and just as he walks in the door, some kids are messing around. They go running by and they knock him over. Now, it was an accident, but no one came back to say they were sorry. No one even came back to see if he was okay. And that kind of dipped into his bucket. He got to his locker. And of course, he dropped his books and his papers all on the ground. But no one offered to help him. As a matter of fact, they thought this would be a great opportunity to make a joke about gravity. And that dipped into his bucket. At lunchtime, he sat at a table by himself because he hoped someone would come over and sit with him because he wanted to make a new friend. But no one came over. They left him by himself. And that dipped into his bucket. So he'd started off the day feeling pretty good about life. But now at lunchtime, all of the beauty had been stolen from his life. His bucket was empty. What about those people that had been pulling out of his life? They must have gained what they took, right? No. You see, bullies will try to do that to you, but they can't keep it. Dippers have holes. There's no way you can keep what you try to take from somebody else. But let's turn the day around. Our boy gets up in the morning. I don't even know how he's feeling this particular morning. But he gets dressed and he heads off for school. And somebody goes riding by on a bike and he says, "Hey, it's a great day today. I hope you have a good one." Well, that actually helps to fill his bucket. He gets to school and he's still knocked down. But they come back and they're like, "Dude, are you okay? We're sorry." And that adds to his bucket. He gets to his locker and he still drops his papers and his books all over the place. But two people come over and say, "Hey, you seem to be having a bad day. Let me help you with that." And at lunchtime, he still sits by himself. But two boys come over and make friends with him because they know you can never have too many friends. But they also know that everyone needs at least one good friend. And that adds to his bucket. Now, I'm not even sure what he felt like that very morning. But by lunchtime, he would easily be able to see all of the beauty in life again. But what about those people who've been pouring into his life? They must have empty buckets themselves. No, that's what Dr. Clifton discovered. If you invest your time filling someone else's bucket, you're filling your own bucket at the same time. I wish I could sit down with each and every one of you and hear your story and encourage you in your unique journey. And if you don't feel good about yourself, maybe you've had a rough time of it, I want you to know you do have value. You matter. Your life can make a difference. Doesn't matter where you come from or what kind of background you have. It doesn't matter what kind of traumas you've experienced or mistakes you've made. You can learn and grow. You have the ability to become the person that you have the potential to be. But you need to start believing in yourself to make that happen. Remember, believing in ourselves is the real magic. Because if we can do that, we can accomplish almost anything.